Anybody? يعني have you come across the term before ولا هو just كلمات يعني؟ هل هو a term, an identifiable term when you say it people know what you are talking about ولا أبدأ طوال الباوربوينت presentation بتاعتي؟ طيب I think 7 people are okay. خلينا let us start the PowerPoint. نقول sharing ونمشي للباوربوينت. طيب in today's talk I am going to concentrate on 4 issues related to open educational resources and how to use them in teaching and learning. وبالتالي المصطلح نفسه لازم نعمل له definition والناس تكون يعني people know what does it mean, and then we move from understanding open educational resources to copyright. And by the way, we just finished producing a copyright policy for the university. So we would like to discuss copyright levels and categories because these are now very important. Whether you are using them in your for when you use other people's educational resources, or when you prepare your own resources and you would like to copyright them, what do you do? This is very important. This is the second section. The third section, there is something called Creative Commons licensing, and we need to shed some light on these licenses. And then at the end, we will just discuss where to look for and to find open educational resources. So if we start with the first one, which is understanding what are open educational, what is open, and what are they, what are the resources, and what does it mean when you say they are open. فعندنا إذن the three terms are important. Open, what does it mean, and educational resources, what are we talking about? There are definitions, and these definitions shed some light. We will start with the light, and then we will look at the definition. Any digital or any other type of media used in education can be considered as open, but this will include teaching material, learning material, and research resources. So research resources are also included in the definition of educational resources. Now in this slide,
بروفيسور لو تخلي الزملاء بس يسكروا المايكس حقتهم.
yes,
يعني we don't have. Yes, thank you.
yes please يا شباب وصبايا عملوا ميوت عشان ما نسمع الكافينج زي ما قال الدكتور. الستيتمنت النمرة 3 دي مهم جدا لأنه فيها مصطلحين، والمصطلحين ومعاهم قوس يعني. في حاجة اسمها public domain وفي حاجة اسمها intellectual property. This we need to explain very clearly because you need to identify whether a resource you find is in the public domain, which is completely open, or it has got some intellectual property attached to it. And in the intellectual property, it is open, which means free, and but there are certain permissions called the 5 R's, and we will address that in the second part of the talk. So this is very important. So the definition speaks about digital or any other types of media used in teaching, learning, or research, and these are found either in the public domain of the internet, or they are found in the internet but with intellectual property attached to it. So we will address that when we go to this. And these are the examples: textbooks, and we find many of them, courses, curricula, media, simulations, solve problems, question banks. So any resource that can be used in teaching and learning or resource found in the public domain or with intellectual property can be considered as open education resources, and we will discuss those in detail. لسه في ناس يا جماعة ما عاملين ميوت، خلينا نعمل لهم ميوت نحن. Mute all. Yes. Okay. So these are the details of the definition. But what is the definition? The definition, the best definition is the Texas definition. And they say open educational resources means a teaching, learning, or resource that is in the public domain or has been released under an intellectual property license that permits the free use, adaptation, and redistribution of the resource by any person. ده الديفينيشن بتاع تكساس، اسمه the Texas definition، بيغطي الجانبين، تعريف الeducational resource وتعريف what does it mean when we say open. So open, so far open عرفنا إنها, we know that it is either in what is called the public domain or it is released but under an intellectual property license, and we are going to discuss that. What does it mean open, which is free plus certain permissions. Now, examples are many. So, for example, syllabi. If you find the syllabus, you might need to know whether you can use it straight away or not. Lesson plans, learning modules, course design templates, library guides, policies and procedure documents, discussion prompts, course videos, simulations, lab experiments and lab resources, books, assignments. And if we can classify those, these ones on the left address, you can use them for planning. So you can find syllabi, lesson plans, learning modules, etc. and use them for planning. You need to first identify whether they are open educational resources or not. And this side, we have some for teaching and some for assessment. So whatever you find in these as examples, there are many others, by the way. For example, what do you mean by many others? As you notice, the previous ones were materials that can be used. But also others like free learning management systems can be considered as open educational resources because they are resources, not materials. They are resources. For example, learning management systems, facilities used for sharing and communication, applications used for monitoring and interaction, and tools used for feedback and surveying. So these five, they are not materials, they are tools and facilities that you can use in the educational environment. But today we will focus on teaching materials rather than teaching tools and facilities. We just need to mention them to make sure that you know what they mean. So learning materials as an example, these are open educational resources, but also storage and sharing facilities and tools, organization applications, collaboration applications, interaction and evaluation applications. All of these are considered open educational resources because they are resources that you can use in the educational environment. Example for those, for example, you probably know there are now lots of courses called massive open online courses. They are called, in short, MOOCs, and these are offered by reputable institutions, and you can use them as they are. You can direct your students to attend the courses with the university, or you can use some of the material in these courses and you add them to your course, and we will know later on whether you are allowed to, how do you know whether you are allowed to take part of the material and use it in your teaching and learning environment. So MOOCs, and the most famous, I think everybody knows, Coursera is a very famous provider of MOOCs or massive open educational massive open online courses. But there are others. All of these are MOOC providers. So the MOOCs are open educational resources. You either direct your students to attend them, or you can actually download material from these open educational resources, which are the MOOCs, and use them in your teaching environment. For example, there is a site called the Sunny, OER, Sunny services, and these they have ready to adopt courses. And they put them there. You don't need to enroll in the courses, but they are ready to adopt. You can just use them as they are. And if we go to the site of Sunny, in that site, they are putting lots and lots of courses which are, as they say, OER ready to adopt courses. So you can go there and you say, for example, wherever, technology, traditional studies, English communication, just as an example, the courses are there and they are ready to adopt. So they are putting them, they are preparing them, and you can actually use them directly in your learning environment. So this is just an example of courses which are ready. Examples of learning management systems which are free as facilities. Moodle, as you know, it's an open source and it's an open educational resource you can use. There is another one called Camilo, and there is one called Open edX and Canvas. These are just examples of learning management systems that you can adopt and utilize as platforms for your learning. They are considered as open educational resources. There are facilities used for interaction, monitoring, and evaluation. And just the typical examples are Teacher Kit. And this resource is used to facilitate and manage the various aspects of education. So you can actually subscribe to an account and you ask your students to subscribe, and then you can use this Teacher Kit. And also Kahoot, another example. Explain Everything, another example. Populate, another example. All of these are used for interaction with the students. They are used for monitoring, attendance taking. You can use them to take attendance, and you can use them for quizzes and evaluation. Also, we have VoxVote for polling. You can ask the students to interact and respond to your questions. Poll Everywhere, and we are going to try this one because it's good and it's free of charge. It's an open educational resource. And then there is Socrative. Socrative is a bit advanced. And then Quizlet, used for assessment. You can use it to design some quizzes for your online education. So these are facilities. In addition to those, there is the video conferencing applications. You know them. There is WebEx, Microsoft Teams, TeamViewer, Big Blue Button, Zoom, Jitsi, Adobe Connect, GoToMeeting, and Google Meet. Not all of them are free of charge, of course, but as you know, Big Blue Button, Google Meet, Jitsi, and Zoom, they have a free component that you can use free of charge, and so they are considered as open educational resources. Of course, social networks were developed to start with as social networks, but because they are now a cyberspace for everybody, teachers and students are existing in these social media. So they are now introducing lots of facilities to allow you to use them as educational resources. So Facebook as one, but all of the others are very useful open educational resources or facilities. The lot. Now, this is just a general introduction of what do we mean by open educational resources. Now we want to give the technical and legal definition of OERs. In short, open educational resources mean free. You don't need to pay for them, but with specific permissions. There are permissions, and the producers of materials, the creators of material can say, I will allow you this permission or this permission. So the 5 permissions, we need to identify the 5 permissions. There is free material with permissions. And now the five are of the five permissions. You can retain, you can reuse, you can remix, you can revise, and you can redistribute. And we will just explain very short what these five mean. Retain means you can make it and keep it. You make it yourself and keep it, but you can own it from somewhere, control copies of the content. For example, you can download, you can duplicate, you can store, and you can manage. This is the meaning of retain. Reuse, of course, you can use the content in a variety of ways. For example, if you find the material in YouTube, you can download and use it in the classroom. So different settings, you can use them in different settings. If they tell you that you can reuse means in different settings, in a classroom, in a study group, in a website, etc. Now, revise, you can actually manipulate. So you can manipulate the resource. You can manipulate the video or the document or whatever. So you can adapt, you can adjust, you can modify, you can alter the content itself, you can add to it, you can delete, you can translate into another language. If you are given the permission to revise, you are given the permission to do all of these. Now, remix means you combine this original open educational material with whatever. You can bring two open educational resources and combine them. You remix them. You can produce your own and add them to an open educational resource you downloaded from somewhere. So remixing means producing a new product. You mash them up into a combination. Now, redistribute, you share copies of the original content directly. You can share your revision or your remix with others. So the original, the remixed, the revised, all of that you have the right if you are given this right or this permission. These are the five permissions. So the five permissions are these. Plus it is free of charge, you don't pay. So free plus five permissions equals open educational resource. Now, there is one facility, I use it, and I would like people to know, it's a facility, it's not a learning material, it's a facility. And whatever I find the chance to advocate, to publicize, to let people know about it, I will do it because it's a fantastic facility. It is called Poll Everywhere. So this Poll Everywhere, you just need to go online, create an account, then you can start creating polls and quizzes and integrate these polls and quizzes in your PowerPoint presentation. And then while you are teaching, the quiz will appear. This is where you go, create an account, and these are the different types of quizzes you can use. Multiple choice ones, word clouds, question and answer, clickable image, survey. As you can see, many different types of quizzes you can use. There is here, these are 7 and there are 15. These are 15 and there is more. So if you have an account, then you can click on create and create any of these types and then integrate it in your PowerPoint. And this is what appears when the participants respond. I will try it now. This is a previous session. I did it with another group, but I would like to add to it whatever you think the answer is. So if you please go to Poll EV, can you see it? pollev.com, Abdelmunian E558, online. You can go online and click on that. I will put it in the chat and you can actually click on it and answer the question so that you have a hands-on experience on how to use Poll Everywhere. Let me go to the chat and put the link there. Chat. just click on this link or write it in your Internet Explorer, and then you can answer my question, and I will automatically, or all of us will automatically see the response on the screen. So can you please try it? Hello, are you there? I cannot feel any response.
Yes, we are there. We are there. Yes.
We are there.
Are you trying to use this poll everywhere? pollev.com, Abdulmunim. Yes, somebody answered. This person said it is free to view online, the meaning of OER. Okay. I should have cleared it so that you don't know the correct answer. Somebody said it is free of cost and having an open license. Is this the most appropriate? Just a minute, please. Can you do it again? I cleared the responses. Those who responded before, can you answer again, please? And the new ones. Okay, somebody said it is free plus permissions. Okay, I think you got the idea. Okay, somebody said free to view online. Another person said it is free of course and having an open license. While two people say it is free plus permissions. Actually, the word open educational resources is defined as a resource which is being free of charge, and you have the 5 agreed upon permissions, any of the 5 agreed upon permissions. So the answer is E. But my point is, this is a facility that you can use, and it's a very good facility. These are the references for this first section. And then we go to the next level, which is, can we know the identity of the student? Yes, you can, because you go to the website where you have your account, and then you can know who answered what, because Islam is actually about grades. Actually, this is intended for interaction. It is for feedback. It is for immediate reaction, not actually for grading. For the grading, you have the other ones like Kahoot, like Quizlet, and the others. But this one is mainly for seeking the
teaching and interactive during the classroom.
During the classroom, yes, during the classroom. Yes. Now, the second part of the talk is about copyright. I need some sort of interaction before I go to levels and categories. When you hear the word copyright, what does it mean to you? Copyright.
حقوق الملكية الفكرية بالعربي يعني.
صحيح. هذه الترجمة.
That mean you cannot use without permission most of the time, unless you are referred to the resource that is available. It has some restriction for you.
Okay.
Maybe you can use it. Maybe you can use it once, but if you use it for distribution, you have to get the permission.
You described copyrighted material. It is copyright. It is, as Dr. Yamani said, حقوق الملكية. لكن I can waive my rights. But when I say this is copyrighted, it means all rights reserved. All rights reserved. I am not waiving any of my rights. If it is copyrighted material, it means I have maintained all my rights. So we will go to the levels. But what you mentioned, Dr. Anazik, the copyrighted material for which all rights are reserved. And let us see these four levels. Now, if we go to the levels, copyright is a form of legal protection automatically provided to the author's original work of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, artistic, and scientific. That automatically, whatever production you produce is automatically legally protected through copyright, automatic copyright. But if you waive your rights, then the material is not copyrighted. The material is another level, and we will talk about the levels. So the copyrighted material, the first level, is all rights reserved. And then there is something called the fair use. There is fair use agreement also agreed upon, and now everybody knows about it. What does it mean? We will explain. And then when we say there is an open license, and then we will say when it is put in the public domain. And as you know, these are levels. The highest level is copyrighted, all right reserved. You don't touch it unless I give you permission. But there is something related to the copyrighted material. The copyrighted material, there is something called fair use of copyrighted material. And then there is the licenses. We will discuss the licenses in a little while. And then there is public domain. So we have four levels. We will start with the first one. The first one, this is the legal protection which is automatically provided to the authors of original works of authorship. Automatically. Whatever you produce is automatically copyrighted. But what does it mean? It means nobody is allowed to copy, or modify, distribute, or display. So if it is completely copyrighted, you cannot display it in your work, in your website. You cannot distribute it. You cannot modify it, and you cannot copy it. This is called completely copyrighted material. Now, violation is called copyright infringement because it's a legal term. It's a legal protection. So this is called copyright infringement, where you can be sued. وبالتالي all rights are reserved, no permission is granted, none. For example, if you go to a website, this is the website of the University of Khartoum. If you look down, you will see copyright, and there is a logo. It's a symbol, a circle with the letter C, which means this is copyrighted. 2021, University of Khartoum is the owner, and all rights reserved. Now, this is copyrighted, completely copyrighted with all rights reserved, and it is stated like that, and the symbol used is a circle with a C in the center of the circle. So what about fair use? So fair use means to freely use just portions of the copyrighted material for purposes of commentary and criticism. You can write a critique about something, and you are allowed to use a portion of the material to get your message through. Or you want to comment on something, you can use a portion of that resource, but you have to define why are you using it, the purpose for use, the nature of use, using for what, and how are you going to use it, and then how much are you going to use, amount, and the effect on the market. And you might need, as Dr. Nazik mentioned earlier, you might need to communicate with the owner of the work, telling them I want to use it for this, and this is how I am going to use it, and I'm going to use that much, and will that affect their market or not? I should mention that when I communicate with the owner or author. So this is fair use, limited amount for a very specific purpose with permission. Now, what about open license? Now, we move to another level. Now, in this level...
Will you allow me to stop you here, Dr.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. I mean, even in copyrighted material for the purpose of criticism and things like that, it's allowed, and quotation also is allowed. So I cannot see the difference between copyright and fair use. If you will, maybe I missed something. شكرا جزيلا يا دكتور.
ايوه شكرا. طيب هل مثلا في واحد كاتب كتاب 20 صفحه، انا اقوم اشيل 18 صفحه وارسلها للطلاب واقول لهم this is this or this is that, this is too much. You have to identify the amount. If you think the amount is a lot, you need to communicate with the author. But if it is limited for a very specific purpose in a very agreed upon way, then you can. This is called fair use. You are not under any legal. This is not copyright infringement. So the amount, the purpose. For example, if I use it for marketing, I get a portion and I use it to market something. So now I'm gaining money for that. This is not fair use. You need to take permission from the owner. So fair use means using limited amount for commentary or critiquing. Now the third one is what do we mean when we say a license? If I want to waive my rights, I need to get I need to specify, not to get, to specify a license. So these are open licenses, set of conditions applied to an original work that grant permission for anyone to make use of that work as long as they follow the conditions of the license. So دي معنى open license، يعني you open it with a license. Now, the most famous, widely used, is the Creative Commons licensing. فعندنا ده هنتكلم عنه in a separate section in detail. But this is what we mean open license. Open license means it's a license. I specify the license for my work, and then you can use it according to the specified license. It is open, and in that license I will specify that it is free of charge, and I will specify what sort of permissions, and then I will show you the different types of permissions in the Creative Commons. Now the Creative Commons licenses, we will discuss those in detail in a little while. They have 4 symbols to talk about, to specify the different permissions. There are 4 symbols to specify the different permissions used in the licenses. I will detail them after we finish the classification. The last one, it is called open domain. And in the open domain, you specify that this material is open domain. And you put the symbol, which is, there are 2 symbols actually, a circle with a 0 or a circle with a C, and the C is with a slash across, with a slash across the C. So it is not copyrighted. I waived all my rights. So if you put this symbol or the other symbol with the C and crossed C, then you mean this is identified as public domain, and this is the most open. You can even sell it if it's in the public domain. So these are the 4 levels of the copyright. The completely copyrighted, which is all copyrights reserved, the fair use, using limited amount, open license, this is open but with a license attached to it, and then public domain, this is free to use. Free to use completely, but you just need to credit the author, some sort of citation or referring to using the material, acknowledging that this material was created by somebody else, but not very specific, and it is not necessary. Now, it is free for use by anyone for any purpose without restrictions under copyright law. And this public domain is the purest form of open free, since no one owns or controls the material in any way. The material is completely open and free. Example for that, some expired work تلقاه كتير جدا، تلقى حاجة اسمها archives and repositories. يخطوا فيها الحاجات the very old و expired وموجودة يعني for everyone to use. for creators ممكن برضو to assign، أنا ممكن من الأول أعمل work وأعمل له assigned to the public domain، أو أصلا هو حاجة not copyrightable زي titles, names, short phrases، كلمات slogans, familiar symbols, numbers، دي ما free for use for everybody. These are just examples for the public domain. So these are the four levels of copyright ودي الريفرنسز. وعشان نجرب يا جماعة الموضوع تاني سريع، شايف أنا في ناس ما جربوا المرة اللي فاتت، تقدروا تجربوا لنا يا جماعة، نديكم دقيقتين كده. Under the fair use license, licenses can use the book or resource freely but fairly. Users can use limited content for quotation and critiquing only. A user can modify content but fairly. Teachers can use content for teaching as long as they acknowledge this use through attribution. Which of the following is the correct or the most appropriate answer? اسلام قال بي. يس ما قدرت اجاوبها يا اسلام في Paul everywhere. Anyhow, the answer is B. Thank you very much. Now, the third part of this talk is about the Creative Commons licenses. What are the Creative Commons licensing? These are the licenses. We will discuss them in detail. Now, the Creative Commons licenses, Creative Commons give everyone from individual creators to large institutions a standardized way to grant the public permission to use their creative work under copyright law. فإن الcopyright law الموجود في الدول كلها which automatically grants copyright to any new product. Under that copyright law, you would like to open a door or a window. And the window are these Creative Commons licenses. You want people to be at ease, relaxed when they find their material. They are not afraid to use it because you have given them the license to use them. These are the Creative Commons licensing. الusers perspective the presence of a copyright commons license on a copyrighted work answers the question, what can I do with this work? What can I do with it? Can I retain? Can I reuse? Can I remix? Can I redistribute? Can I فشنو? What can I do? الأربعة symbols أول حاجة double C means this is under the Creative Commons license. This one. Now, if you find a human being like that in a circle, this is called attribution. You need to attribute the work. The third one with a cross on a dollar sign, this is, or sometimes you find a euro sign, sometimes you find a sterling pound sign with a cross. It means not for commercial use or non-commercial use. I am giving you the free, it is free, but don't use it for commercial use. And so these are the symbols. I think there are another two. Yes, I will discuss them straight away. One symbol called attribution by اللي هو the human being. Credit must be given to the creator. لازم تقول credit. لكن how do we do it? I will explain it at the end of this section. How do you do the attribution part? Is it similar to citation? Is it similar to acknowledgement or different? So this is called attribution under the Creative Commons licensing. The next one, share alike. Share alike اللي هي زي ما تقول سهم معقوف كده. إنه if you want to share it, you need to share it, the material itself, or the remixed one, or the modified one, or whatever you do, the new product. If you want to share it, you must share it under the same license. For example, if I say if I don't say that, if I do not forbid people from using it for commercial use. If you produce something, you cannot forbid people from using it for commercial use. So when you share it with the same license as my license, the license of the creator of the work. This is called share alike. The third one, non-commercial use, and the third one is no derivation. You do not derive. For example, I will say this is free for you to use. You can use it for commercial, I don't mind, but don't change it. Don't change it. Even if you sell it as is. So if I say no derivatives, معناها no derivations or derivatives adaptations of the work are permitted, only non-commercial use for the work. This is the second symbol. The third symbol is share alike, share it but with similar license, and then attribution. These are the four conditions. Now, as you can see, they are arranged. يعني هنا attribution. If I say just attribution, I don't forgive you. If you want to share it بأي license, it's up to you. If you want to sell it, you can sell it. If you want to derive material from it, you derive material and then you can sell it. So if I say only this applies, it means I don't mind the other three. Don't worry about the other three. So the combination of these four conditions will produce the different types of licensing. So the first license is just attribution, which is the circle, and it is called by. By, it means this material or this product was produced by, and then there is a way of doing it. And this is the most open license of the 6 licenses. I just need attribution. I don't need anything else from you. Now the second one, I want attribution, but adaptation must be shared under the same license. So it is attribution plus share alike. This is the second license. I want you to just give me attribution, and when you share my material, use a similar license to mine, which is attribution plus share alike. Use similar license. The third one is I want attribution, credit must be given to the creator, but don't use it for commercial. It is only for commercial use. So I can say attribute me, don't use it for commercial use, but you can create derivatives and you can also share it under any license. It is up to you. I am not forbidding you by adding the symbol of share alike. Okay, this is the third license, which is by plus NC, which means attribution plus non-commercial use. The third one, 3 conditions. Attribution must be given. Don't use it for commercial use. Use it only for non-commercial use, but share it with the similar license. Don't share it with another license. So I am now creating more conditions for you, restrictions. Now the fifth license, it is attribution, no derivatives. Don't change it. Give me attribution, then you can even sell it. You can use it for commercial use, I don't mind. You can change the license, I don't mind. And then the last one is the most restricted. You give me attribution, no commercial use, no derivation. The only permission I'm giving you is when you share it, it is up to you to decide which license you use. So these are the 6 combinations. When you find any of these symbols, it will automatically tell you what you can do with the material. So these are the 6 licenses. This is the most open one, and this is the most restricted one, which prevents commercial use and derivation. You cannot derive, and these are the other different combinations. As you can see, you start from very restricted. Creative Commons, which means here is 0 public domain, most open, nothing. And then we move down, and then we get to the copyrighted material, completely forbidden. It is these are the Creative Commons plus the copyright all right reserved. And by the way, this table shows you what you can do with each of the 6 licenses. For example, public domain, you can copy and publish. Attribution is not required. Commercial use, you can do it. Modify, you can do it. You should change the license, it's up to you. This is public domain, and so on. So this graph is a quick diagram showing you what you can do for when you find any of these licenses. Now, the most important one, which is required in all, it is called attribution. So the most simple one is just attribution, but in all others, attribution is required. So what does attribution mean, and how is it different from just citation and acknowledgement? When creating attribution statement, a good rule of the thumb is to remember the acronym TASL. TASL معناها these are the 4 conditions you need to adopt عشان نقدر نقول انت عملت attribution. الآن الفيرشن اللي موجودة attribution 4 Zero International اللي هي Creative Commons attribution version 4 هي اللي تعمل فيها تاسل دي. يعني شنو تاسل؟ You need to mention the title of the product. You need to mention the title. You say this book يا جماعة الخير هذا الكتاب اسمه كذا والأوثر بتاعه كذا وموجود في المكان كذا. I'll put the link for the source, and then I will put the license, the Creative Commons license of the book. So when I attribute attribution, I will put 4 things. And so the title of the work, the author of the creator of the work, the source with a link or where the work can be found, and the license of the work for a variety of examples. For example, attribution list. يعني اللايسنس معناها شنو؟ أنا أحط اللايسنس نفسها and then you click on it, it will take you to Creative Commons and it will explain to you the license associated with the work. These are the references of this part. ما في داعي للكويز عشان but I will give you the chance to ask questions now if you like, and then we will move to the last part, which is where to find OERs, Open Educational Resources. خلاص, if it is that clear, let us move to the last part of the talk. Now, where do I find these OERs? Where do you find them? You can find them by going directly to links given to you by somebody. They will tell you, and I will tell you a few of them. Direct access, or you can search for them. You can also search for them. For example, repositories, there are some repositories famous. If you come out of this session by these 2 I'm going to mention, then this is a lot. This is a lot. The first one is called Open Educational Resources Common, OER Commons. وبالتالي it's a repository you can go to. It's a go-to repository if you are looking for supplementary resources from lesson plan to full courses. يعني في ال OER Commons everything is there. So if we click and go to OER Commons, this is the OER Commons, and there you can search. You can search. يعني هنا what are you looking for? Are you looking for a lesson plan? مثلا lesson plan. السبجكت شنو؟ قول applied science. والeducation level وإيش؟ university. يعني داير university preschool college upper division graduate professional. خلاص. you wanted standard ولا شنو ولا من وين؟ ياتوا standards لانه عندهم طبعا الامريكان عندهم different standards. انا هخلي من غير standard واقول له search. So you can actually search for anything, and then this is what I found. Lesson plan on the US trade deficit. Thankfully, different كمية من lesson plans, you can find them there. I can also search for PowerPoint presentation. نفتح Applied Sciences Graduate Level وكده. presentation I spelled it wrong. present لأنه السبيلنج ما فاهم. yes.
PE
ها
RE
بري هنا. ايوه ثانك يو. ايوه creating hypertext presentation, learn PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. فتلقيت different resources عن الموضوع integrating presentation software into learning. كمية موجودة في هناك في ال OER Commons. فإذا this is a huge repository فيها different things. You can upload, of course you can upload materials also, different services. There are groups, there are hubs. So this is one huge resource of open educational resources. Okay. Then the second one is more fascinating. It is called Skills Common. And this is a comprehensive collection of workforce-related OER created by over 700 community colleges across the U.S. by the Department of Labor, Trade, Adjustment Assistant Community College. And it's a big program, TAACCCT. And this created Skills Commons, free, open, or rights. فهنا دي a huge repository لكمية رهيبة جدا من educational resources في السكيلز training. وحتى في مقدمة عن open educational resources. ولكن you can see videos, you can find them, stop and shop هنا. فإذا دي another one. You can go to showcases, تختار showcases اللي هي case studies. فبرضه this is another huge repository of skills called the Skills Commons for open educational resources. Now these are two common ones. The first one وهي Skills Common, Workforce Development Digital Repository. Now there are open textbooks. For example, University of Minnesota عاملة مكان, in that repository they are putting books. It is called the Open Textbook Library. عددهم ما كبير ولكن ما بطال 847 freely accessed books. So this is just an example. There are many open book repositories. There is something called OpenStax, a non-profit out of Rice University, peer-reviewed open textbooks also. يعني دي هنا مثال وده مثال في OpenStax. There are many open books, free books from Rice University. Of course, you can find them by subject, technology, data, tutor إلى آخره. فهنا by subject بيطلع لك السبجكتس المختلفة, and then you can search or you can just search. فديل examples. طيب, what about images, videos, audio, more open textbook? These are clickable links. I will share with you the PowerPoint presentation. and you can actually explore. اهم واحد فيهم الكرييتيف كومونز سيرش. نفس الكرييتيف كومونز نفسها عاملين سيرش فاسيلتي and for that facility عاملينها للايمجز. You can search over 500 million images available for use free of charge. يعني مثلا كبسول داير صور انا عشان استعملها في تصميم، استعملها في باوربوينت، داير كبسولات كده اظبط بها الباوربوينت بتاعتي. فلقيت دي كلها اول حاجه انا لقيتها هنا. لاحظ وين اي سكرول بالبوينتر كده فوق طوالي بتظهر لي الكرييتيف كومون لايسنس بتاعتها. قال لي سي سي اتريبيوشن، دي سي سي اتريبيوشن، دي سي سي اتريبيوشن. دي هنا قال سي سي اتريبيوشن لكن نون كوميرشال يوز. دونت ببلش ات ان ا بوك. ما تضيفها لكتابك وتبيعها، ما تبيعها هي ذاتها كصوره. دي هنا اتريبيوشن، دي هنا نون كوميرشال يوز وشير الايك. يعني برضو انت لما تستعملها ما تستعملها فور كوميرشال يوز and when you share it تقول لهم اللايسنس بتاعتها اتريبيوشن ونون كوميرشال يوز وشير الايك، تستعمل نفس الرخصه and so on. دي مثلا الكبسولتين ديل او الكبسولات الحبوب دي قال لك نون اتريبيوشن وشير الايك and so on. فده هنا اسمه سيرش كرييتيف كومون. طيب مش صور.
Thank you for being biased to pharmacy, Professor عبد المنعم.
ما قلنا نغير الاكزامبلز عشان ما يكون في بايس مستمر. النقطة اللي حبيت برضه الفت لها النظر انه it is not only the images. عندك هنا الاوديو and the videos. You can find videos about different issues. ودي اللايسنسز بيذكرك لهم. طيب انا هنا مثلا ما داير الصعوبات دي ما داير، واقوم اقول له يا اخي انا اي وونت الصور اللي بس محتاجين في الببليك دومين. ديل في الببليك دومين اللي هم سي سي زيرو، وشايفينهم ليه في الببليك دومين لانهم شينات جدا. لكن نقول له لا، جيب لنا اللي نون كوميرشال يوز بس. 3 ديل قالوا ما تستعملون فور كوميرشال يوز. طيب so searching in this Creative Commons repository فيها 500 million images and other resources. فدي برضه من المواقع that you need to know about. وهكذا. Please click and go through all of these عشان تعرف what you find. طيب وعندنا في الادفانس سيرش بتاع جوجل you can actually specify انه انت you are looking for licensed materials. You do not want copyrighted material. طيب كيف الكلام ده؟ طيب قبل ما نمشي للكوبيرايتد ماتيريال في مكان تاني اسمه ويكيميديا، كومونز ويكيميديا، بيشبه بتاع الكرييتيف كومونز فور ميديا. دي برضه فيه صور. انا طبعا كنت جربتها بناس معمار، لكن انت ممكن تبحث عن اي شيء هنا، تبحث عن اي شيء. المرة دي نقوم نقول ستيثوسكوب. فانا داير الصور بتاعت الستيثوسكوبس، فجابهم لي طوالي كمية من صور الستيثوسكوبس وموجودات في this commons media. معناها هذول كلهم licensed. تضغط على اي واحده بوريك اللايسنس بتاعتها and you can freely use it. 15868 صوره بتاعت ستيثوسكوبس. فدي ايضا another good resource for images. طيب داير انا بس to highlight when you search for image. for example انا طلعت من الموضوع خالص architectural design، طلعت الصور دي في السيرش بتاعي في الادفانس سيرش. طوالي طلع ادفانس سيرش معناه شو؟ معناه انا ما عملت سيرش فقط، عملت سيرش واخترت images and then I searched for images. طلعت لي الايمجز، لكن انا I just اعرف كيف which of these are Creative Commons license. بقوم اختار تولز اللي موجوده في السيرش، وحيقوم لما تطلع التولز اقوم اختار usage rights حقوق الاستخدام، واقوم اختار من اليوسج رايتس كرييتيف كومونز لايسنسز، فطلعت لي الصور اللي عندها كرييتيف كومونز لايسنسز. واول ما افتح الصوره نفسها I can click on the image. لما تطلع هنا اقوم اضغط license details، تقوم تطلع لي license details بتاعت الصوره، او اضغط في عنوان الصوره اللي تحت الصوره. لما نضغط بتوديني طوالي مباشرة للكرييتيف كومونز لايسنس attached to the image. قال لي all we need from you is attribution version 2 generic، وبالتالي الاتريبيوشن 2 ده مستوى معين، واللي هو you can share it, you can adapt it, you can remix it or whatever. فإذا من داخل هنا أنا I can get the right. لما تطلع لي صورة كده بعاين تحت الصورة بلقى طوالي الرايت some right reserved، ولكن الرايت شنو؟ attribution فقط، جايب لي السيمبل بتاع الاتريبيوشن فقط. طيب لو فتشت if I look for a video, when you search for a video you will get you the list of videos. You click on filter. When you click on filter بتلقى different filters، لكن واحدة من الفلترز is Creative Commons. So you click on Creative Commons as a filter. It will give you only the images which have got Creative Commons licenses. Videos. لما تفتح الفيديو هتلقى when you open the video, under the video you will find some blah blah blah, and then there is show more. When you click on show more, it will take you straight to the Creative Commons licenses, and it will tell you this is it's a YouTube help that show you tell you about the license. Now, just a reminder, search Creative Commons is most important for images and other media, and also search Commons Wikimedia. But there are others. There is Jamindo, there is Flickr. These are for images. Let me just go to Flickr. This Flickr is a wealth of images. فالآن إذا أنت Flickr زائد Commons Wikimedia زائد Creative Commons Search اللي هي فيها 500 مليون صورة، افتكر دي a wealth of images beyond imagination. And these are other sites. أنا عامل لينك لكل واحدة فيهم، لكن you do the clicking هتلقى much more resources in different fields of education. And these are the references for this last part. And thank you very much for being a wonderful audience. And now your chance to ask some questions before you let you go. Today I decided to make it short and specific, not to keep you for too long.
Thank you so much. We appreciate this wealth of new knowledge. Thank you so much. I'm sure that we have learned a lot today. It's a very heavy meal, and yet it was very delicious. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions?
دكتور بارك الله فيك صراحة. يعني احنا overwhelmed بالتكنولوجيا وبالكونتنت يعني teaching in online، لكن هذه ان شاء الله تكون داعم وسبورت لنا يعني facilitate الريسورس لنا to use more what we know before, to update our knowledge and skills in online teaching. My question here, if it is available for us to the links, the address, the website, everything in the slide, so that we can. You said you will share with us your PowerPoint.
I will share the PowerPoint and the recording بتاع الفيديو يعني.
Okay.
ف don't worry, I will.
مشكور والله يا دكتور.
الله يعطيك العافية.
شكرا دكتور، بارك الله في حضرتك.
حياكم الله، شكرا جزيلا. I will see you in the next session إن شاء الله. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا، شكرا يا دكتور، السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.